LeBron James says he's ready to lead the Lakers into the playoffs. Can he do it? Well, the answer isn't just up to him. We'll explain next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for joining Locked On Lakers. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. Lakers playing a critical game against the Suns on Friday night. The magic number for the Lakers to clinch the number 4 seed in the West is 2. Any combination of Lakers wins or Houston losses, and the Lakers are the 4 seed. A 3 seed still possible. A 3-way tie for the Lakers. Nuggets and Rockets means the Lakers would be the 3 seed as both owning the tiebreakers, but also being division winners. Obviously, Andy, coming off Wednesday's good vibes win in Golden State, people are feeling a little bit better about the challenge in front of them. LeBron was fantastic in Wednesday's win. He had 11 assists. He had 8 rebounds. He had 26 points, and he did it very efficiently, 11 of 17 shooting. After the game was over, he talked about kind of being ready to go and lead the team going forward. He said, quote, to him talking to Allie Clifton, what the Lakers team needs from him right now, quote, everything. Nothing changes for me. It's just back to the old ways. I got to give them my leadership both on the floor and off the floor. I got to lead in all facets on the court, both ends. That's what the job requires. So I look forward to it, and let's see if we can get it done. It does really open up that question, though, of whether or not it's he's capable of it. But man alive, is it going to be fun to watch? Like the storyline here of LeBron, kind of one last heist, one last push as the man in that way. I hope it works just for the Hollywood part of it.
I was going to say it's intriguing. I'm not yet ready to call it fun because that presumes, if not the outcome, it presumes the ending. And that does a disservice to what LeBron is being asked to do. And also, too, I think this matters. The bar for what should be considered success. Like, if you flip this scenario on its head, and let's say Luka had to do this without LeBron and Austin, like, there's no question Luka is better equipped to do this than LeBron as the younger player, the better player at this stage of his career, the player that is more equipped to go nuclear for a series as a one-man offensive army. But make no mistake, this would be hard as hell for Luka too. So it's important that the way we frame success, pulling this off, what it looks like for LeBron, is framed through a reasonable lens. And that's before you even get to the whole he's 41 years old thing. Like, totally. But I'm just, and obviously that piece of it matters, but I just think it's really important to make that distinction off the top, because I don't want to set this thing up so it's unfair to LeBron.
That's not really what I meant. Like the LeBron,
but it's important to say, though.
No, I agree. I agree. I think you're right. But like the LeBron hater group are going to look at this, and regardless of the results, because I mean, if LeBron plays well, unless LeBron somehow leads them into the second round, can't do it anymore. The old man's washed up, whatever. What I mean is, what I find fun about this is just as a person who finds sports storytelling, obviously we've been in this for a long time. Just, I love the storytelling aspects of this. I am particularly love the storytelling that goes along with aging athletes. And there is a story in here. The one I want to see is kind of the Hollywood, like, damn, LeBron, leads team to improbable win in first round series where they are, heavy underdogs. I'm not counting on that. Even if LeBron plays great, I'm not counting on that. But I do think there's something equally cool in, like, LeBron plays his tail off and makes this a far more competitive series than anybody expected, and
Absolutely.
all of these things. And I actually think there's sort of poetry in finally running into the thing that LeBron can no longer do single-handedly. And what that means for, looking forward to maybe one more year of him in the NBA. And I think he's confident in his ability to go out and play well. But I think LeBron is interested in finding this out. That last sentence in that quote, I look forward to it, and let's see what we can get done. I think there's both that sort of confidence. Let's do it. Let's see what we can get done. But I think it's also a question let's see what we can get done. I am not entirely, if you ask LeBron this question in 2016, when he says, let's see what we can get done, he's saying, I know what we can get done.
He's saying,
now
let's see what I'm about to do right now. Let's see the thing that I'm about to show you. This reflects what I've said about LeBron this entire season. I've said this a lot last season, frankly, the last couple seasons. LeBron is at a stage of his career where moving forward, nothing can really be predicted because you can't predict your body cooperating at this stage and age of LeBron's career. I said last year in the playoffs, as the postseason went along, I thought LeBron started looking more tired. I actually thought that happened in 2024. That's not to say that I think he played badly, but I do think he looked more tired. It helps for this very difficult task that LeBron spent the last month or so not being asked to do what he is about to embark on for these playoffs, because the asks are about to be ratcheted up. However much is left in the tank for this season, I do think that will matter, just physically and even mentally, for LeBron moving forward.
You're getting to what I was sort of teasing at the open. The answer to whether or not LeBron can do this isn't entirely up to LeBron. So I want to unpack that. And the Lakers made a roster move on Friday, and we will explain what it was and what it means next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by BetterHelp. Financial stress is something a lot of people are carrying right now. It is tax season, and it's not just about numbers. It can affect your sleep, your relationships, your overall mental health in ways that build up over time. The reality is, struggling with money doesn't mean you failed. Sometimes it just means you haven't had the right kind of support or comfort level. It can be very easy to put pressure on yourself financially without ever voicing to anybody how you feel, much less to land on the healthy ways to move forward. And the stress that comes with trying to figure out everything on your own, the expectations to feel like you have to have everything together, the pressure that spills into other areas of your life, therapy can be super helpful. It's obviously not just about financial advice. Nobody goes to their therapist to help crunch their bank account. It's about working through stress, anxiety, and emotions that come with it. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served, BetterHelp makes it easier to get matched and start focusing on what you need. When life gets overwhelming, therapy can help. Sign up and get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
Locked on Lakers is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters and every matchup is magnified. Every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it really easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, matchups all in one place. And obviously during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're trying to balance the stars, the role players, the guys that come out of nowhere to swing a series and become legends even. All of these key moments, it just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. So go head to the website, find the right matchups, the right plays that you want to make. FanDuel.com, that's where you get started. Again, FanDuel.com, play your game.
And Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Prize Picks. Playoff push, it is heating up. There's no better way to get in on the action than Prize Picks when it feels good to be right. Every bucket, every dime, every big moment means more when you're playing on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports picks app. Incredibly simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. It's simple, quick, really easy to follow along. You can mix sports in the same lineup: basketball, baseball, hockey, all of them. And the early payouts feature, it's new, it's a game changer. If your player gets off to a hot start, you can lock in a win before the game even ends. It's a fun way to stay locked in every game, especially this time of year when every play matters. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 bet. PrizePicks, it is good to be right.
When I say the answer to whether or not LeBron can do this isn't entirely up to LeBron. It really is, I think if you went back to the quote old ways where you're just going to give LeBron the ball and go be superhero, essentially kind of go be Luka. You start the possession, you dictate the possession, you control the possession, you're deciding whether you're going to shoot or not, all these things. I don't think it's going to work. This is why getting Smart back is so important. And, Kennard showing that he can initiate an offense and make the right pass and penetrate and kick and do some of those things with good ball movement matters. Because if you just put LeBron in front of Houston's defense and ask him to create, go cook, it's not going to work. Like they have to be smart about how they maximize the opportunity to try to get LeBron. They have to help him. They can't just be like, okay, go King. They have to help him in ways that LeBron hasn't necessarily needed help in years past. And if they do that, I think they have a much better chance of getting a consistent performance from LeBron over however long the series lasts. If they just make him do all the heavy lifting, I think you get a couple games out of it max.
2015, when they got to the finals, the Cavaliers and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were both hurt, and it was basically LeBron with Matthew Dellavedova and Timofey Mozgov and a bunch of good role players, but role players nonetheless. LeBron played incredible in that series, and there was a school of thought that LeBron really should have won Finals MVP as opposed to Andre Iguodala that year, and he got some votes, but it is incredibly rare that a player on the losing side wins MVP. But that was peak LeBron, and he could not make that happen. Like all great players, if they really want to pull off really difficult tasks, whether you're talking about winning a championship or getting out of a first round series as the underdog, we've spent all season talking about the play of the supporting players when they were at full strength.
Sure.
The importance of Ayton and Rui and Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart, God willing, the guy is healthy again, and Hayes and Luke Kennard and everybody that is going to step on the floor getting regular minutes. There's an onus on all of them. It's the Jerry Maguire, help me help you. If these guys do not help LeBron enough, he's not going to be able to give them the help that they ultimately need either. It's symbiotic.
And I agree with you. And it's both of those things. But it's obviously they're going to need Ayton to elevate and give, they need 65 points from players. They need to make this up. Rui's going to have to produce, and Kennard's going to have to shoot when shots are there. And Jake LaRavia is going to that 4 out of 5 that we saw on Thursday night. Like all of that stuff's a given. But what I'm really getting at, and we'll get to Kobe Bufkin here in a second. By the way, spoiler alert, that's the roster move. The Lakers released Kobe Bufkin. It's not just that he needs the help from the supporting cast. It's that the way you have to deploy LeBron to try to, be the man, the center of things and whatever, it's still going to look very different than it used to. Like the old formula has to be tweaked or it's not going to work. So it's really a combination of those things. But you're right. They are going to need elevated performances down the line, or it's LeBron. Even if he went nuclear, it's still not going to matter. I mentioned Lakers released Kobe Bufkin. They have until the end of the season now to fill that roster spot. There are some restrictions. It has to be somebody who isn't on a roster. I think or like every 2-way, like March 1st or whatever, or on your own.
You needed to be an NBA free agent, I believe, as of March 1st. If you were somebody like Cam Thomas, for example, who the Bucks signed off waivers after the Nets released him, and they have since waived Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas would not be eligible because he was on an NBA roster as of March 1st.
And so, I mean, the Lakers theoretically could go find a street free agent or something like that. The overwhelming speculation is that they are going to use that to convert either Drew Timme to a full NBA contract or Nick Smith to a full NBA contract, two of their two-way players. You cannot have two-way players on your playoff roster. So, I mean, I don't think anybody is going to argue at the idea that they released Bufkin for a player that hopefully could be more productive in the postseason.
It was easy to forget Bufkin was on the team.
Right. I mean, well, the conversation about process here we can have maybe secondarily if there's time. The primary conversation is who do you replace him with? And I think the Timme or Smith question here is not totally easy to answer. You can make a strong case for either guy.
If they go that route, and I'd have to take a look at what street free agents are out there, guys with NBA
I would be
experience.
floored if this wasn't.
I agree with you. It feels more likely that they convert Timme or Smith. I just want to acknowledge the possibility is out there, and I plan to just take a look and see who is still a street free agent who maybe you could put on the court for 10 minutes and not worry too much. If I was choosing between Timme or Smith, I would choose Drew Timme for a few reasons. I think Nick Smith's prototype as a player, you could argue the Lakers need more of, but I also think Drew Timme is readier to be put on the floor in a playoff situation. Like I think he's just at this point more polished at the thing that he does and his strengths, acknowledging the weaknesses. I think he's more polished at his strengths in an NBA playoff setting than Nick Smith is polished at his strengths. I also think when it really comes down to it, JJ Redick is more likely to play Drew Timme than he is to play Nick Smith Jr. So I'd rather have the guy on the roster that it feels like you're going to play in the first place, as opposed to maybe the guy who fits more of the prototype, but it feels so unlikely that JJ would use him.
The argument,
so that's my answer. I'd go Drew Timme.
The argument for Smith, I think, is less about position. It's more about skill set. And the correct answer to who do you want on the floor in a playoff series is probably neither. Broadly speaking, I do agree with you that Timme is more likely to be that guy, like sort of like Maxey, that if you put on the floor, he's more likely to kind of do the right stuff and fill in whatever. He's going to be exploited, to no end defensively. And I think the problem with Timme as an offensive player in the playoffs is that when the extra 15% of energy and effort and intensity that you get in these playoff games, I think is going to make Timme a far less effective player. Like he's just going to be guarded more closely. He's going to be, and so the argument for Smith isn't about position, because I think you're probably right. Timme would be more likely to play. The one thing that Smith does is he brings a skill set that really not a lot of other guys have, which is bucket getter, ISO capable bucket getter. Now, is he good at it? Different question.
Again, I think Drew Timme is more polished at the things he does than Nick Smith is at the things he does.
Sure, but I think the thing that Smith does, and why I do think ultimately between the potential shortage of guards and the ability to kind of break glass and pull this lever if you feel like you need it, I actually think there's a pretty good chance that Smith is the one that they convert. Just because if you find yourself in need of that skill set, he can provide it for you. Whereas if you decide you need like a guy who can rebound a little bit and move the ball okay and is like a couple of those things Maxey can do. Like Maxey, I think, is going to, fill some of that need. He can't shoot like Timme. Timmy's a much better shooter. There's no question. But between Rui and Kennard, they should be. So I think there's a pretty good chance. And I, when I was thinking about it this morning, was like, I think I might go Smith just for that reason. So I have that lever that I can at least try if I feel like I need it. But we'll see what they do. They have to make the decision by the end of the regular season. But like I said, I'll be shocked if it's not one of those two. There's a larger conversation, which we can have another day, about like whether or not the Lakers have reveals any process or structural problems that need to get fixed based on how this signing went. I know that's a conversation Andy is itching to have. He's nodding, but that's a time for another show.
If nothing, I'll say this: spoiler alert for the people looking forward to our conversation. I think the stakes were low in terms of practical effect. I think the optics on it were awful.
Locked on Lakers on YouTube is where you can hang out with over 38,000 subscribers. We'll be back after Friday night's game against the Suns, hopefully celebrating a second straight win for LA. See you then.